Hello learners, this is Form 4 Mathematics. The topic is matrices and transformations and the subtopic is shear. I'm teacher Sharon. Welcome. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to fully describe shear as a transformation. So we say the transformation that maps an object, which I've drawn in orange, to its image, which is in blue, is called a shear. You can see the shape of the object and the shape of the image. So the object has the same base and equal heights. Let's have a look. This is the base and this is the height. So it's the same for the object and image. Therefore, their areas are equal, meaning that under any shear, area is always invariant or fixed. A shear is fully described by giving the invariant line and a point not on the invariant line and its image. If you look at our example here, we can see that the line which is not changing is this line over here. So that is the invariant line, and then we can pick a point on the object, call it point A, which has changed its position to point A prime. So when describing this type of transformation, we have to mention the invariant line, which in our case here is the x-axis, and then a point A which is not on that invariant line and its image after the transformation. For example, find the image of the unit square after a transformation T represented by the matrix 1, 2, 0, 1 and describe the transformation fully. So we can draw the unit square where we have A, then here we can have B. This one can be our B, so that this one becomes our C. Then we have D. So if we join these points, we form a unit square. That is our unit square. So we have our object coordinates A, which is 0, 1, B, which is 1, 1, C, which is 1, 0, D, which is 0, 0 or the origin. So if we take the matrix of transformation, which is given as 1, 2, 0, 1, we multiply by the object coordinates, we should get the image coordinates. So we have 0, 1 for A, 1, 1 for B, 1, 0 for C, and 0, 0 for D. So this one should give us the A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. The first row and the first column is 1 multiplied by 0, which is 0, plus 1 multiplied by 2, which is 2. So the first image coordinate is a 2. Then we have the first row multiplied by the second column, which is 1 multiplied by 1 plus 1 multiplied by 2 to give us 3. Then we have the first row and the third column, which is 1 multiplied by 1 plus 2 multiplied by 0, so we have 1. Then we have the first row and the last column, which is the fourth column, We have 0 multiplied by 1, which is 0, plus 2 multiplied by 0, which is 0. So the last x coordinate is 0. Now to get the y coordinates, we go to the second row. So the second row multiplied by the first column should give us the first y coordinate. So we have 0 multiplied by 0, which is 0, plus 1 multiplied by 1, which is 1. Then the second row by the second column will be 0 multiplied by 1, which is 0, and 1 multiplied by 1, which is 1. So this one becomes 1. Then we have the second row and the third column, which is 1 multiplied by 0 to give us 0, and 0 multiplied by 1 to give us 0. Lastly, we have the second row multiplied by the fourth column, which is 0 multiplied by 0 to give us 0, plus 0 multiplied by 1, which is 0. So this is our A prime, our B prime, C prime, and D prime. So if we can locate A prime, the point A will move to 2, 1. So it will be at this point, that is A prime. Then B prime will be 3, 1. This point over here, we have our B prime. Then our C prime is 1, 0. So 1, 0. So it will remain where it is. And lastly, we have D prime, which is 0, 0, remaining where it is. Now we can join these points to get the image. So joining these points, we find that the transformation is a shear, and the invariant line is the x-axis because it is not changing. So we are describing the shear. We say that the invariant line is x-axis, and then A, which is not on the invariant line, it was 0, 1, has moved to A prime, which is 2, 1. So we've managed to describe fully the shear which has taken place and has been represented by the matrix of transformation which was given. Now in our example 2, we are told to find the image of the unit square after transformation T, represented by the matrix 1, 0, 3, 1, and then we describe fully the transformation. So we can draw the unit square. We'll have A at that point. Here we'll have our B. Then at this point we have C, and lastly we have D here. So when we join these points, we'll make our unit square. Using the matrix times the object coordinates, we should be able to get the image of this unit square after that transformation. So the matrix is given as 1, 0, 3, 1. So we have 1, 0, 3, 1. We multiply by the coordinates, which are the object matrix. So we have A at 0, 1, B at 1, 1, C at 1, 0, and D at 0, 0, which is the origin. First row and the first column will give us the first x coordinate of the image. So we have 1 multiplied by 0, which is 0, plus 0 multiplied by 1, which is 0. And then we have the first row and the second column, which will be 1 multiplied by 1 to give us 1, plus 0 multiplied by 0. So the answer is 1. Then we have the first row and the third column, which is 1 multiplied by 1, which is 1, plus 0 multiplied by 0, which is 0. So we have 1. Then we have 1 multiplied by 0 plus 0 multiplied by 0, which is 0. Now to get the y coordinates, we take the second row. So we have the second row multiplied by the first column, which is 3 multiplied by 0 to give us 0, plus 1 multiplied by 1, which is 1. The second row and the second column will be 3 multiplied by 1, which is 3, plus 1 multiplied by 1, which is 1. So this becomes 4. Now we have the second row and the third column. So this is 3 multiplied by 1, which is 3, plus 0 multiplied by 1, which is 0. So the answer is 3. And lastly, we have 3 multiplied by 0, which is 0, plus 1 multiplied by 0, which is 0. So that is 0. And this means that A prime is 0, 1. B prime is 1, 4. C prime 1, 3. And D prime 0, 0. So we can locate the image for this unit square after the transformation, where we have A prime, which is 0, 1. So A prime remains there. Now we go to B prime, which moves to 1, 4. And C prime, which moves to 1, 3. And lastly D prime, which remains at the origin. So if we join these points, we'll be able to get the image of the unit square. So we can describe this by saying that it is a shear, and the invariant line is the y-axis because it is not changing. And then we pick a point. This is our C prime, this is our B prime. We pick a point which is not on the invariant line and its image. So we are picking B, which is 1, 1, and has been mapped onto B prime, which is 1, 4. So we have been able to describe that shear as a transformation, and also to find the image when we are given the matrix of transformation and the object. That is the end of this lesson. Thank you for your attention.